Here they come.
Welcome to this week's episode of Here They Come. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Jessica Schroeder.
Well, Jessica, see you at Peelers keeps on rolling. She won her third straight so far this season in last Friday night's Blue Chip Matchmaker series at Yonkers Raceway.
And Brian Sears drove her again to another mile in 52 and 4. She just keeps right on going. Week after week, she's right there on top.
Our Ken Weingartner caught up with trainer Jimmy Takter earlier this week, and Takter offered some insight into See You at Peelers' early season success.
Been coming back, really good, especially the last two starts. I'm really excited about those two races.
How apprehensive were you coming into the year, given the way last season ended and trying to get her back this season?
Well, of course, it's a big concern. I mean, especially when you're not really 100% sure. Well, I know why I was dealing with a heart issue, but you never know if you're going to come back out of it and how the healing process will be and things like that. But, she trained good all winter. She felt really sharp and things like that. And last couple starts, like I said, she feel like she started to come back to the girl I used to know.
There were 5 total divisions that each went for $40,000. Other divisional winners were Ginger and Fred, Lightning Treasure, Western Silk, and Androvette. And interestingly, all of those horses are older than See You at Peelers, at least 5, 6, or 7 years old.
That's right, Jessica. See You at Peelers as a 4-year-old is racing in that interesting transition year, if you will, where a 4-year-old has to race against older horses. Jimmy Takter offered some insight into how he thinks See You at Peelers has made that adjustment so far, and he also takes a look at her upcoming schedule after the Matchmaker series.
What are your plans for her in the rest of this series and then moving forward from there?
Well, you got to take it, race by race, but we're going to give her a week off, and she's not going to race Friday, and go for the 5th leg, and hopefully have her as sharp as possible for the final.
And then, if everything's going well after this series, what are your plans for her during the summer?
I don't know. I mean, she's taken to all the races that they have for H fillies, and you got to play by ear a little bit. You got to know where. This, especially on the bigger track, a lot of these, older ladies are a little bit tougher, and things like that. And but on the small track, I think she's, 5/8 and half mile. I think she's as good as anything out there.
The transition from 3 to 4 can be, a big step to begin with. So are you going to try and take it a little bit easy with her?
They get a lot of, especially this area, they get a lot of starts right away. I mean, we went 3 qualifiers and 3 starts, it's in 6 weeks in a row, and that's, it's really not my style. I don't like the racehorses like that. But it's this area here is kind of demanding that because a lot of legs, you need to participate in quite a few legs to, get eligible for the final. And but she loves Yonkers and she likes half-mile racing, and so it's well, we got to play by ear how we're going to manage her. Maybe not over race her too much, but as long as she's staying happy and keeping good weight and things like that, we'll let her decide.
Top older pacer Foiled again reached a milestone this past Saturday in the George Morton Levy series at Yonkers Raceway, coming up with career victory number 60. Quite a roll for this tough pacer who was last year's Pacer of the Year.
The 8-year-old multimillionaire has been really on a roll at the top level for so long, and winning those 60 at that level is pretty amazing. The other divisional winners were Real Nice, Sea Venture, Fitz's Z Tam, Atokia, and Art Z. And interestingly, Art Z and Sea Venture are also just 4-year-olds racing against those top-level horses. Yet, Art Z, at 4 years old and the youngest, he's tied for leading in the whole Levy standings with 225 points against Real Nice.
That's right, one more leg of that series coming up this Saturday night, and then the final the last Saturday in April. Speaking of top older pacers, We Will See, who dueled with Foiled again last year for those Pacer of the Year honors, is set to return to the races. In a story earlier this week on USTrotting.com, written by Ken Weingartner, trainer Sam DePinto stated that We Will See will be qualifying either at the end of April or early May. His first stakes encounter will be either the Molson Pace at Western Fair or the Bettor's Delight.
Back into third is Winsong Géant and French Fries and Vinegar.
Well, Jessica, while we saw a lot of favorites winning in the George Morton Levy series and the Blue Chip Matchmaker this past weekend, there was a major upset in Canada as defending Horse of the Year San Pail went down to defeat in the Glorys Comet final at Woodbine.
Mr. Herbie, San Pail digs in. San Pail giving all he's got. Mr. Herbie pushes him right to the end. Mr. Herbie on the outside reaches up. Mr. Herbie with an unbelievable upset in 151-3.
But I don't think Rod Hughes can be disappointed. He lost by a very small margin in a new series record.
That's correct. The time of 151-3 set by Mr. Herbie was a new series record for the Glorys Comet. Mr. Herbie may not be known by a lot of folks, but he's earned over $450,000 now in his career, and I'm sure you'll hear more from him as the season rolls along.
Anyone who's a driver or trainer knows that accidents do happen out on the racetrack. Announced earlier this week, the USTA is offering a new program effective April 1st for driver-trainer accident insurance underwritten by Van Gundy. You can check out more information on their website. It's a two-tiered program this year, so there's different options for people depending on their budget and what types of needs they have for coverage should they get hurt on the racetrack.
Well, California-based driver Jim Chip Lackey is on his way to Moscow to drive in the 25th International Harness Drivers Championship. This will be Lackey's second appearance in the competition. He was the U.S. representative also in the year 2002. Lackey has a video camera with him. He'll be submitting that video to the USTA and will offer some insight into his trip with this footage in the weeks to come. Check us out on ustrotting.com.
And for those horsemen who are still stateside, just a friendly reminder that stake payments are due April 15th for a lot of 2- and 3-year-old upcoming stakes this season.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of Here They Come. We'd like to thank Jimmy Takter, Ken Weingartner, and our producer, Rich Johnston. I'm Paul Ramlow.
And I'm Jessica Schroeder.
Join us again next time for another episode of Here They Come.